Hey, thanks for joining in. Sorry for the glare. I can't change the position of the sun. All right, so I went through the whole learning curve of learning how to connect a Nextion display. Now this is the Nextion, touch display right here. It's got a great graphical interface. Sorry, depending on how you set it up. All right, so today I'm going to go over just kind of the bare bones basics to get it working with ESPHome, which that way you can integrate it with Homeassistant as well. So I'm going to go through. There might be a few mix-ups here and there. I'm going to go through and create a new project. Now, if you're sitting, kind of watch the screen, what I currently have is on the screen there is this guy right here. Now there's, like I said, quite a bit we can go into. I'm going to try to keep it, for today, as simple as possible. All right, so where I would start with this, where I did start with this is personally I use Canva, if I'm saying that right, C-A-N-V-A. There is some free portions. I do pay for this. I tend to use it quite a bit on all of my displays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload an image here. Just go ahead and stick my logo on here. All right, so I'm going to, you know what, for just showing purposes, right? So I won't get perfect with this. I'm going to go ahead and lock the background just because I don't want the background to move. All right. Now where we want to start is we need a button. And what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to simply set up a simple button on the screen that you can touch, and it will auto update for my coffee. Now, there's quite a bit you can add to this. It really just depends on how much time you want to spend with it. So let's go ahead and type in coffee, and right off the bat, these seem to work just fine. So for most of my items, I try to find stuff that are similar in size. They somewhat look similar. And I'm looking for an icon to show when it's on and an icon to show when it's off. Feel like these two kind of match one another. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and, I'll just say center it up. We'll throw it off to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy. I'm going to add another page. I'm going to paste it. Now I'm going to, let's unlock this background. So I can grab the background image here. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Well, oh, unlock. All right, doesn't seem to be grabbing that page, so you know what? Get rid of that page, we'll just duplicate it. So what I'm looking for at this point is I want two pages that look identical. Let's see what I have. I think I locked it on accident. Oh, there we go. All right, I want to get rid of the top image there. Oh. Off that image. All right. Trying to get rid of the image underneath, and it's just not working, is it? All right, that image is still there. I'm gonna go ahead and I want that image to be white. All right, there we go. We're getting somewhere with this. Now what I've learned, when you overlay them, you're trying to match them up. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll click on it and I'll hit I'll move it over and I'll count the number of hits that I do. That way I can grab the one that I know I want to delete that, and I'll hit the arrow key back, the same hit. So that way it's centered fairly well. So what we're looking for is we're looking for identical backgrounds. We don't want anything to change. However, we do want, you know, a copy of it on and a copy of it off. And I'll get to in a bit why we're going to do that. Now I'm trying to move through this as fast as possible. If you'd like to see more in depth, please let me know. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Well, in this case, it already saves it automatically. I'm going to go through and by the way, it is important that it is sized for whatever screen. So when you start this, know the screen you want to work on. We are working with the 4.3 today. So that screen size is 480 by 272. It's important that you size your project accordingly. You can come in here. You have limited options with the non-paid version. I believe you can set your size though initially. With the paid option, you can resize it after the fact. So in this case, you know, we have the size, and this is where you would change your size. I'm going to download those pages. All right, those have downloaded. I'm going to come in here into this, and I'm going to copy the pages out of the download folder. Okay, we're going to come into our Nextion editor here. And all right, we're gonna go through and we're gonna pick our display. In this case, I prefer, the only thing I've experienced with is the intelligent. We have the 4.3 here. Make sure the numbers, when you order the screen, if you haven't done it before, I would download this program, open it up, look to see what model numbers are available for the intelligent one, and order based on that. I believe we're gonna do 180. We can adjust that after the fact. All right, so now we have, starting with the blank, and we have one page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on picture. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We need to import picture. So we're going to come down to picture, and we're going to select both of these. We imported them both in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this, sorry, went through, clicked on picture, added a picture. We're going to click on it once. We're going to come down to picture, browse, and we'll pick our first one. All right, now we're set. Now, if I load it to the screen right now, this is exactly what we're going to see. Now, I'm going to grab button, and let me bring up another copy of this just so I can make sure I am using the right one. I don't want to lead you guys down the wrong path, and I haven't done this for quite some time. All right, I'll bring this over so you guys can see. Go to room. All right, 53. All right, if I click on this, the type is 98, so that's not what I'm looking for. I believe I will find this. Maybe. 53, dual state button. All right, so now I've been clicking on these. I need to get rid of those. All right, so we have our original photo that we added. We're gonna go to the dual state button. You click on it, it's gonna add it up here. So what we're gonna do is we wanna come in here and we want to size it. And you want to go big enough where you encompass the whole thing, but you don't want to go outside that parameters. If you start adding other stuff to the screen, you'll start cutting that off. All right, so now that we have our dual state button, we're gonna come down here on the right-hand side, and I personally like to give it a name. We're gonna name this coffee. We're gonna change the VS scope to global, and then we're gonna scroll down, and we're going to have, if I can find it here. That's not what I'm used to seeing here. Oh, sorry. Under style, keep it flat. Image. All right, I think I'm on the right path here. All right, so under STA, we're going to do image. For pick one, well, so for pick, we're going to pick, in this case, our first photo. Starting to think maybe I didn't have that right. Crop image, sorry. I'm going to bring this back. Like I said before, on this channel, I kind of like to show everyone the good and the bad. All right, pick two. Now we're going to come here, we're going to pick this guy. Pick one, we want that starting image. All right, now we do have, I'm just going to point this out for now, VAL, so variable. Right now it's set to 0. If I set that to 1, if you notice, it's actually going to show us what's underneath. Now, if I zoom in here, notice it kind of cuts it off right there. So let's go ahead and drag this over. So that's another thing to keep in mind is you can go in here and you can change your variable between 0 and 1 just to mimic, I guess, what the button presses will be. So we'll change it back to 0. Now if I come up to debug, page error, fail, coffee. Oh, before I forget though, is we do want to click on this and under touch and release, click both of these. All right. Input invalid font. All right. I don't see. Well, you know what? Under text, let's get rid of text. If I get rid of text, let's see if it's still going to require for me to have font. Apparently. All right. So down here, in order to input objects and text and everything else, so you'd have pictures, you have font. We're going to go ahead and we're going to generate some font. I don't believe I should have to have it for this application, but we're going to do it anyway. You can go through, you can pick any font that you want. We'll give it a name, font, 16, the height right now, 16. Do suggest give it a name that is easily referenceable. I'm saying that right? All right, we want to add the generated font. Font ID is 0. So same thing with your photos. You're going to have IDs next to each other. So ID 0, ID, go down to this photo, ID 1. Your font's going to have ID 0. So now we're going to click back on here. We're going to go to font, and it's already on 0. We'll keep that there. Let's go ahead and see if we can run this. All right, there it goes. So we just need to have a font, even though we have no text. So, all right, so now this is a simulator. This is going to show you exactly what you're going to see on your screen. So if I click on here, which is going to, I see the issue. So if we click on here, it's going to change the variable from 0 to 1. So it's going to simulate a button press. If you notice when I click on it, we actually see underneath where there's some text there. We want to get that text out of there. So we're going to click on here, go back to where it says TXT for text, and let's get rid of that text and hit enter. I did not hit enter before. So now if we go back to debug, we click it, no text, on, off, on, off. It is important that you do, once again, you click on these, you make sure for your touch release and your touch press, touch release, those are checked. If not, it will not pass that data through to ESPHome. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, give you 1 second, get to flash the screen. Now there's a couple different ways you can do it. I will put a link for these. These are pretty cheap. The only detriment is it has some of these old connections. Go ahead and plug that in. That's going to take just a little bit longer because I am using a screen that is currently being used. Made it real handy to do that. Here's my ESP32. Just had it taped in place. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to plug this into my screen. Now it's pretty simple, there's only 4 wires. Now it is important to note on this, the screen itself requires at least 5 volts. So in this case, I have power coming from this, 5 volts, so there's a selector on here. I do have it set to 5 volts, and then your RX will go to your TX on your screen, your TX will go to your RX on your chip. So you obviously reverse those. Alright, we're going to go ahead and hit upload. Now you can let it all search. I already know that this is COM port 10. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit upload. Now, knowing my luck, I might have bumped a wire. It doesn't seem to be connecting. There it goes, and I did already make one mistake. I'll show you that in a moment. So, it's going through and saying it's writing data. I'll put all these examples in GitHub. Alright, I don't want to interrupt it, so we're going to let this follow through. You know what? I'm going to interrupt it. Hopefully I don't break it. Alright, under program here, you can go ahead and copy and paste this in, but I am changing the baud rate to 115200. Try to upload again. Oh, and then right now over on the right hand side we only have one page. So start page is going to be 0. Back to this. Go ahead and upload again. See if it connects. Hopefully I didn't hurt myself there. Yep, it's not finding it. Let's go ahead and power cycle it. Well, if I ruined it, looks like our video is done right now. All right. It found it. It's uploading. We're at 5%. So let's give it a second. 1 second. All right, we're at 38%. I would pull this over so you guys can see it over here, but it's not quite possible at the moment. All right, let me grab my cable for my ESP32. We are at 85%. Should fast forward this for you, but I'll let you guys hit that button. All right. I'm going to go ahead and provide power to my screen, show you in this other camera here. All right. So if you notice when I touch it, changes that variable on and off. So there it is. That part is done. Now what we need to do is we're going to come over to ESPHome. Well, first off, I better go in there and get rid of current device that I had, or it's not going to come up. All right. All right, I'll provide this example for you guys as well. Now, one thing we do need to do is we want to come in here. Keep in mind, once again, we're on page 0. If we wanted to add additional pages, you can do so as well. So this is page 0, and the ID of this button is 3. Now, object name, coffee, capital C. Reason that is important is you can copy this. The only part I'm not going to put in there is the Wi-Fi portion of it. So we have our ESP32 with our ESP name. It's test screen, API, over-the-air update, and we have our UDART. I'm connected to the TX and the RX pins. Your pin out might be different. You might choose different pins. Doesn't connect, reverse the pins. We also have our baud rate set as well. Like I said, you can just copy and paste this. All right, so right here under binary sensor, this is our first sensor. We're going to change page ID to 0. Like I said, our component ID, or ID of this one was 3. I'm going to have update the update intervals every 1 second. If you don't have much on the screen, you can speed that up to 500 milliseconds if you'd like. If you have too much going on, I would slow that down just a little bit. ID, we'll do test coffee. Now, I do have a few things in here. I do have a condition for 1 second. Basically, the current page, it needs a return state of 0, which means in order for this button to work, it needs to be on page 0. Reason for that is if you have more than one page in here, which honestly the cost of the screen and the work you go through, it's benefit to have multiple pages and menus you can navigate. You only want that button pressed to register and do something if you are on that page that it belongs to. So page 0. Now I do have a binary sensor up here. It's a status sensor. It means that it needs to be online for 1 second. The reason is when it's booting up and whatnot, sometimes these states can register as not available, and then they go to off, and in some cases you might have an automation where if something goes to off, it triggers it. So I have this just kind of to prevent anything from happening when it boots up. And then I am doing a Homeassistant service call. You can have this, trigger a pin. Anything that you typically do on ESPHome, you can have a trigger. I have this doing a service call within Homeassistant to turn on and off. Actually, my desk heater here for my coffee. Down here, I do have a script that I run. It is when coffee status. So right here, I do have an entity that I'm bringing from ESPHome. This is the status of my coffee warmer. So I do have that binary sensor that will tell, this ESP32 chip whether or not the coffee warmer is on. And the reason for that is coming down to the script. We have if coffee status is true, and the current page, we need to change that to 0, and the current page is 0. Then we want to, and this right here needs to match the same ID that you have on your display up here. So if it is set to true, we want it to take coffee, and we want it to set variable 0. Else, that means if it's not on, we want it to set it to 1. So if I'm not mistaken, we'll have to play around with this, but if it's true, it should do the first one. So if it's on, we want it to set it to 1. Which actually, let me take that back. I'm sorry. If it's on, we want it to show, the stock one, which is how we see it now. If it's not on, we want it to set that variable to 1, which will show us that off symbol. Now up here, I do have a sensor. Platform is Nextion, and what this actually will do is this will update anytime the page is changed, and I believe if there's a touch press. So basically what this will do is just kind of keep updating that script when anything changes. And it just says if current page is 0, then we want it to execute test script. All right. Now, if you'd like me to go into any more detail than this, please let me know, and I definitely can. I know I kind of still flash these old style. I don't actually utilize the web interface. I just use ESPHome, ESP Flasher. So we're going to let this through and go and compile its code. I'm going to take my ESP32, and I'm not going to plug this in quite yet. pull my tape off. I just kind of had this holding it in place. All right, so now download for legacy. We want to keep it that file. Go ahead and load this into our flasher. So test screen. Go ahead and plug this in. And sometimes with these, you need to, well, go through, search for the port. All right, now I got the port. Hold down the reset button, plug it in, let go, hit flash, and there we go. Alexa, close the office door. All right, we're going to let this run through and do its thing. Now, I didn't put an API password or anything, so it should just pop directly into Homeassistant. All right, let's check to see if I have a new device yet. There we go. Configure. Now, in this case, we're not going to see, anything. If I go to test screen, we're not going to see anything in that. You can put a name to it and expose, those the entities, to the front end of it. Choose not to at this moment. Now, coming off the ESP32, I'm just pulling 5 volts ground and then your RX and TX. So just the 4 wires. I'm going to plug that into that. Go ahead and give my setup here power. Sorry, light turns off automatically when I close the screen. Alexa, Sonos Volume 1. Sorry about that. All right. Alexa, pause Sonos. All right, now if everything worked correctly, and I'm hoping it does at this point, which I'm starting to think maybe not, because that is not updating. So I'm going to go through and we have logger in here set up. We're going to touch this. If you notice, it is registering those touch events. I am thinking that where here came into play here is I have something wrong here. So we're going to do switch toggle. Get rid of that one. Coffee. And then I can take, and I'm just going to copy and paste. You know what? Yeah, that should be just fine, but might be doing this wrong. All right. What I like to do in cases like this? Go back to other projects. All right, bear with me and I apologize. So in this case, we are successfully getting the button presses into ESPHome. I'm just going to pull up, I know I'm showing IP address, that's an internal IP address, there's nothing you guys can do with it. All right. So everything should have been just fine. Everything looks good here. So just to be safe here, we're going to do switch toggle, switch toggle, switch coffee. Oh, I did have a 3 in there that didn't belong. Let's go ahead and flash this again. Now we can wirelessly flash it since we've already connected it to our network. So this video is going to go into 30 minutes. I might see if I can cut this down, or I guess you can use the fast forward button. All right, we're just going to wait until we can see it. The screen just flashed. All right, so we're getting component 3, we're getting release, we're getting press. So current page. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and bring this sensor. So current page. Just want to make sure, it's not a bad idea if I guess we're troubleshooting here. Just want to make sure, see if we can figure out what's going on and why this isn't working. So because we put a name to that, once that updates, it should bring that to the front end here. So we'll wait till we start seeing a log, and I'll bring the screen over so you guys can see that. All right, current page is 0. We will go ahead and let's add the name here. Button. Sensor is online. Switch coffee. All right. Still not actually triggering the coffee though, so I am curious about that. Open up another screen. I'll show you the device that we're actually all right. So we have our button off. I'm going to press it. On, off. So and this is what we are accessing right here. Switch coffee. That all seems to be just fine. Coffee status setting off. Current page is 0. All right, so let's see if we can dive into this and see what is wrong here. We're going to change this to 500 milliseconds since there's nothing else going on. Current page 0. Coffee. No, yeah, I don't think we can add a name to that. We'll see if it actually shows up. All right, let's give this another flash. Right, we'll wait for it to come back online. All right, so that is registering just fine. So there is no reason why that should not be working. Oh, all right, people, that's completely my fault. 100% my fault. And if I go to the logs right now, it's going to tell me. You know what? Why we're here? It's going to tell me screen is not permitted to call service events. All right. I'm sorry I wasted 5 minutes of your time. I would normally, well, no, I would actually no, I don't normally cut that stuff out. It's part of the game with this. All right, you need to come under your configuration, under your ESPHome device or ESPHome device, and you need to allow it to make service calls. All right. So if I come here, all right. So now touch the screen. It turns on and off. All right, so what I need to figure out now, however, though, is the icon is not updating. So what I'm going to do is, first off, we want to make sure that this is accurate. And to test this, for now, I'm going to take this piece right here. I'm going to add it as a delay to here. So this is the first time I actually don't have anything where there's not different different pages. So maybe that it only is triggered when it changes page. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add to it, so we will self-call that script every time that button is pressed. So it'd be about a 1 second delay because we want the right state to show up. All right, let's wait until we start seeing those logs. All right, so now if I come over here, yep, that doesn't seem to be updating to me. All right, we're going to check our screen and just double check that our objective is labeled coffee. Oh, there's the bar. Come down to our script. Coffee. Oh, see, there it is. Yep, I didn't have it spelled. I didn't have it spelled the same. All right, now is when you can start leaving your comments and stuff for wasting your time for going through that. But like I said, it's kind of stuff that we all go through. I've done quite a few of these. I should know better at this point, but it's a little different when I'm not fully focused on this and I'm focused on trying to do the video as well. All right. I hate to say it. I'm confident it's going to work, but you know what? I was confident before. All right. So now if I turn it on, there we go. Turn it off. Hopefully this camera over here is working and capturing all of this. Which I'm not horribly confident. All right. It's the best way I can do it for the moment. All right, so right now, and you know what? It's a good indication right here. This is actually my coffee warmer. When it's yellow, it's off. When it's on, it's red. So now turn that warmer on. Turn it off. If I come over here and I turn it on through Homeassistant, oh, I just hit with my finger. If I turn it on with Homeassistant, turns on. Turn off coffee. There we go. All right, so it's working. All right, I know it's been forever since I put out a video. I have a lot going on. I'm working on myself and all the other good stuff. I'm gonna try to put more videos out. I'm trying to mess with a better camera. I've had some stuff come up. I do have some PCBs showing up, and I plan on doing some of that stuff. Spent a little bit of time updating this guy right here. It's actually for my couch, and and whatnot. And this controls the audio and the temperature and all the other stuff. So if you guys have any interest, leave your comments. Well, first off, because this takes quite a bit of time, and I will dive a little bit deeper into certain things, how you can put a slider and have it dim the screen. You can have different pages where you can hit a button and have a menu pop up. You can get really creative with it, but for the most part, it is all kind of under the same, idea here where, you got to lay it all out on some type of graphical program. Like I said, I use Canvas to actually do all of that. As far as the double state buttons, there's quite a few different ones. Like I said, if you have any interest, please leave your comments, leave your likes, and I will put some time into putting that video together. All right, please, thank you for watching. You guys have a wonderful day. You guys have been great.